Okay, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, don't know what we're going to do with the live stream today. I mean, we have some people out in the chat saying, hope it's Best Ball Mania. We got some other people in the chat saying probably just going to be rock, paper, scissors. I don't know. I guess maybe just because we haven't done one of these in a very long time, we can hop in a fantasy football draft, right? I mean, it seems like that could be interesting. I did find this website, Underdog Fantasy, where they have massive fantasy football tournaments. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. Really, really freaking cool. And if I go through, dive into this Best Ball Mania here, I mean, based on my initial reading of this tournament, sounds like it is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million to first place. Don't exactly know what we're doing here, but hell, let's go ahead and let's hop in this bad boy nonetheless. Hell yes, we got Joshua out here giving us some compliments. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for everybody coming and hanging out with us as always. Really, really do appreciate y'all. And yes, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Does help us out a ton. And I believe 99% of y'all have already hit that like button. So thank you so much, everybody supporting. We're picking at 5. I did get into 2 Best Ball Mania drafts earlier today. I tweeted both of them out. Maybe I can pull up those teams as we wait for this to load. But one of the drafts, I think we were at 5 or maybe we are at 6. Nonetheless, the teams that we had earlier today were obnoxiously good. Like I wish those were the teams that we had on the live stream. I don't think we're going to be able to repeat what we did earlier today. But of course, all jokes aside, y'all know what this is. Underdog Fantasy, 99% of y'all are already on it. We drafted over 700 teams last year. Going to draft over 700 teams this season again on Underdog because it's best ball. There's no time commitment at all during the season. We won $150,000 on Underdog last year, and we are going to be streaming every single day until the start of the season, Underdog Fantasy Draft. So if you want to get in a draft with us, if you want to go get in a draft in the public lobby, this is Best Ball Mania. This is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. Sign up with the link in the live chat, the link in the description, the link in the comment section. Use promo code FLOCK and you'll get a 100% deposit match. You'll also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. And on top of that, you will get a free trial of theflockfantasy.com. And if you're a member of both flockfantasy.com and Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, we have some really cool exclusive stuff coming your way very soon. Okay, very interesting here. You have Cup going before Chase. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see this go, Mason, you're an idiot. Come on. This is why Stephon Diggs is one of my most drafted wide receivers. I am willing to take Stephon Diggs over Christian McCaffrey. If this was not Underdog, if this was not specifically a best ball format where you have to start 3 wide receivers, of course, I'm going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey helped us win one of the tournaments in which we won $100,000 last season. But at the same time, if I'm looking at the fall off from the wide receivers we'll be looking at here with Stephon Diggs to the guy you're going to be looking at pick 29 versus the fall off that you'd have at running back from Christian McCaffrey to the running back you're going to get at 29 here, which is like Derrick Henry. We've been drafting a lot of Derrick Henry in the 3rd round. In my mind, it makes more sense from a construction standpoint to sacrifice the quote-unquote better player at the very beginning. That way we can find values that we like a little later on. But Jeep Guy coming out says, officially a mother flocker. If you aren't one, fix your life. Super happy to hear that, my man. And yeah, let me know how you like flockfantasy.com. We have some really cool stuff coming soon. I mean, obviously, I'm already extremely proud of what we have going on flockfantasy.com. It's going to be even better soon. Noah's super happy to see you here, my friend. Cameron says, 10-team Superflex contending Etienne, Gibbs, Brees, Herbert, Tyreek, London, Olave, Ridley. Do I hold Jameson Williams or move for Zach Charbonnet in a second? Interesting question overall. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my rankings on flockfantasy.com and tell you exactly where we have both Jameson Williams and Zach Charbonnet. I don't necessarily think that we need to be making dramatic changes, whether we're contending or rebuilding. I would honestly consider both Jameson Williams and Zach Charbonnet as long-term pieces. I'm honestly not a real big fan of Jameson Williams, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Jameson Williams before the suspension. Definitely not a big Jameson Williams fan now. But if I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here, I currently have Jameson Williams ranked at 59 in our overall rankings, where we have Zach Charbonnet at 79 in overall rankings. And yeah, we are actually higher than consensus on Zach Charbonnet just a bit here, just because I do like the talent profile, even if the situation's really bad. I probably go Jameson Williams. In reality, I don't know, my friend. I really think it's up to you. Okay, but we have Amon-Ra St. Brown almost making it back to us in 19. If that would have happened, that would have been really cool. We're going to take Chris Olave here at 20, just because I don't expect to be able to have Chris Olave, T. Higgins, or Devonta Smith making it back to us at pick 29. Whereas if we're looking at the running backs that will be available, then I think we will be able to grab a great running back in round 3. And this is essentially what we're doing in every single draft. I'm sure y'all have seen this time and time again, but we're slamming wide receiver round 1 and round 2, and then we're coming back around in round 3 with the running back. But really quick, if you have not done so already, make sure go down there, drop a like in this live stream. If we hit 350 likes, we will fire up another draft after this one. But let's see. Peanut Butter and Waivers says Olave round 2 is a smash. Yeah, I've heard some people talking about not drafting Olave in round 2, thinking it's a bad selection. I mean, if you look historically at wide receivers that had the season as a rookie as Chris Olave, it's literally just like Julio Jones, AJ Green, Mike Evans, Odell. It's like the who's who of wide receiver. And if you look at the natural progression that you have going into year 2, on average, those guys turned into low-end wide receiver ones. And I'm not a big Derek Carr fanboy, but at the same time, I mean, you do get, in my mind, an upgrade in comparison to what you had with Andy Dalton this past season. So yeah, I'm a big Olave guy here in round 2. Okay. Margaret Word says Kyle Pitts had a historic rookie season too. To be honest with you, I'm fine drafting Kyle Pitts with where he's going, my friend. And on top of that, I'd say with Kyle Pitts this past season, if you look at the market share numbers in Atlanta, I don't necessarily want to say it was a Kyle Pitts issue. I think instead it was actually an Atlanta Falcons issue. Like if you look at how bad that passing offense was, it was historically bad. Okay, so we are going to go ahead. We are going to take Breece Hall. Yeah, I'll reach a little bit on Breece Hall ahead of Ramondre Stevenson here. I don't know if it's I'm just not a big Ramondre guy. Like, I mean, I think you can make a strong argument. Mason, you're an idiot. Come on, just go ahead and take Ramondre Stevenson. The man's healthy. He's not coming off a torn ACL, blah, blah, blah. I thought Breece Hall was an elite level prospect coming out of school. Breece Hall showed that he was a phenomenal pass catcher in year 1. He flashed talent. And on top of this, you're getting a massive upgrade at quarterback this year, which should improve the overall offense. So, I mean, I'm happy about Breece Hall. Scott says, hey, Mason, not a flock member yet, but love your work. Thanks, man. No, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream. My man, Jeep Guy saying he loves Hall. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. Can you please spam the chat? Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson has an ADP slightly ahead of Breece Hall, but who would you rather have in round 3? Are you going to go Breece Hall or Ramondre Stevenson? Please spam the chat. Let me know. We have like almost 300 people out here. It'd be awesome if we get close to 300 messages. Okay. Hall easily. Hall. We have to have some Ramondre guys out here. I mean, Ramondre's higher in ADP. Okay. It looks like every single person says Hall. Niners Collection says, I'll be a mother flocker soon, Mason. Thank you, my man. Yeah. Okay. Finally, we have some Stevenson guys out. Okay. Lunar says you could definitely worry about the ACL, and I completely agree with you. I just think that if you're looking at Breece Hall, if he didn't have the torn ACL, I think you'd be going up there with Saquon Barkley. Like if Breece Hall stayed healthy his rookie season, he wasn't coming off torn ACL, I think you'd be right there at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. Okay. B-Dub says, I wonder what the average winning rate of people who draft Kelce. So, I mean, if you can look at that historically. I mean, over the past few seasons, people who have drafted Travis Kelce have crushed. And we've been one of those people over the past few seasons. It's more so look at the fact that he's 1 year older. He's 34. And now nobody in their mind is ever considering age to be a concern with Travis Kelce, even though he's turning 34 this next season. Like I said, last year, the year before that, yes, you should have been drafting Travis Kelce in the first round in almost every single draft you could. But in my mind, when everybody is now on the opposite end of the spectrum, where everybody was telling me years and years and years ago that he was too old, And I was saying, nah. And now everybody's saying age doesn't matter, even though he's older than he's ever been. I feel like I'm just going to stay on the opposite side of the fence of what everybody is arguing with Kelce. I think this is possibly the year to go through and fade him. Okay. So Herbert goes pick 40. I had a Justin Fields team earlier today. It wasn't on the live stream. I actually tweeted that team out, though, so I'm sure some of y'all saw it. Burrow's not going to be in play for us here. I mean, we don't have Chase. We don't have Higgins. Maybe if Burrow were to make it back to us in round 5, we can go ahead and pull the trigger on Burrow. So we'll take we'll take Justin Fields. Kind of is what it is. If we're taking Fields, I don't really mind not stacking him in general because I don't really love the passing options in Chicago. Y'all know, back when DJ Moore was going at the 3-4 turn, we were out here screaming how bad of a draft pick DJ Moore was. Now DJ Moore goes to the 4-5 turn. I think people have finally realized, we probably should be drafting Christian Watson over DJ Moore. But even if we don't take Moore, because I don't love where he goes in these drafts, still Fields is someone that I'm fine not necessarily stacking, just given the fact you're banking on rushing production. Like that's the reason I'm drafting Justin Fields here. I'm not drafting Justin Fields thinking he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in passing yards or passing touchdowns. Moss says, Mason, when is Underdog going to be available in Mexico? My friend, that is way, way, way above my pay grade. I am sorry, my friend. I know literally nothing about that. All I know is where Underdog's available right now. So Underdog's available in every one of these states, but the ones that are blacked out. So yeah, Underdog's available pretty much everywhere. It's not available in Nevada, Washington, Louisiana, Hawaii, Michigan. Not available in Ontario, but available everywhere else in Canada, but available in 90-ish% of the states, probably 85% of the states if we're trying to be a little more exact. You can see everything on that chart or that map, whatever the hell you want to call it. Now, DJ Moore off the board at pick 48, and I've actually started drafting DJ Moore just slightly because he is a much more appealing price now that he's going behind all these other wide receivers. So I have some 5th round DJ Moore drafts, and if DJ Moore would have made it back to us at pick 53, obviously where we take Justin Fields, we would have been very excited about it, but no harm, no foul. Like I said, when we took Justin Fields, I am fine not stacking him. Even if it's our goal, even if, of course, we would like to, it's not the end of the world with Justin Fields in my mind. Okay, so I don't want to say exactly what we're doing here, but this team maybe goes Walker. They have Metcalf, so they're making that bet on the Seattle Seahawks offense. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Christian Kirk. We are either taking Christian Kirk or George Kittle. I'm not taking Kenneth Walker in this range. I think we had a draft where Kenneth Walker fell to us like the 5-6 turn where we went ahead and pulled the trigger. But I honestly think Kenneth Walker may continue to slide down these draft boards, or a 5th round's probably fair for him. Just personally, I'm not pulling the trigger. I'm fine with the running backs that we're finding later on. Okay. Tesla says, do you think with these new weapons and both running backs back, will Lamar's rushing decrease this season? Lamar's been very sticky with his rushing production over the past 3 years. If you're looking at a per game perspective, Lamar Jackson's been about 64 to 67 rushing yards per game off the top of my head over the past 3 seasons. Like, it's very, very consistent. I know a lot of people think that Lamar Jackson's all of a sudden going to see a massive spike in pass attempts, that all of a sudden, you're going to have the Baltimore Ravens throwing the ball a ton with the additional weapons, and on top of this, with the new coaching staff there. In reality, I am not all in on Lamar Jackson completely transitioning his game and all of a sudden him turning into Tom Brady, blah, blah. No. I think Lamar Jackson's going to run the ball a lot, and maybe you don't expect 67 rushing yards per game. I think even though Lamar Jackson gets hurt in the pocket, I wonder why. He takes, I don't want to get the Lamar truthers mad at me, but he does take hits. I think maybe it would be a little smart if they decided, let's try to limit his rushing just a bit until we actually need it in key spots, in key games. They're very similar, like Patrick Mahomes, for instance. Obviously, Mahomes is a completely different caliber, but if you look at the way like Mahomes plays, Mahomes can go out there and run, right? But Mahomes isn't taking these reckless hits. Mahomes isn't out there running around when, he needs to go ahead and play just the Houston Texans, and they're up by 3 touchdowns. You're not going to see Mahomes leave the pocket pretty much once. But once you get to the playoffs, once you get to a game against the Bengals, you better believe Mahomes is going to be running around at that point. So it's hard to know exactly how they're going to use Lamar. Maybe it's a little more in that light, but I mean, I don't know. Okay, sorry. Let's move this back up. Moss says, in Mexico, I use ESPN Fantasy in the NFL Fantasy app. Yeah, I mean, which is completely fine. Like, I think that's how most people should play fantasy. I think the perfect, like, life balance with fantasy football in my mind is if you really want to get the most enjoyment out of fantasy, you have like one dynasty league, you have one redraft league, and you really care about those and you really pay attention to those, whether that's on ESPN or wherever the hell it is. And then that's what makes Underdog perfect in my mind, because you can still have those teams that you spend so much time on during the season and they take all your attention, but then you can just get in as many Underdog drafts that you want going into the season, right? Because it's no time commitment at all during the year. So these are more so having fun drafting, having some action on the side, which is what I personally like. I mean, I can't sit here and draft 700 teams and then have to submit 700 starting lineups during the season. Okay. Now we have Dallas Goedert off the board, 65. Let's swing this around. Okay, there are a few guys that I like. Jordan Addison continues to climb these boards. Jordan Addison's now being drafted ahead of Dalvin Cook. Okay, let's see what we get. I don't want to say anything. Like we need to be quiet. Let's hope. What is this team doing? Okay, crap. That was one of our guys. Dameon Pierce off the board. Lockett goes. Okay, thank God we are going to go ahead. We are going to get Kyle Pitts. I do feel like after Dameon Pierce and Kyle Pitts, you get a pretty serious teardrop where, I mean, after those two guys go, I mean, I'm sitting here not really knowing what to do. With Kyle Pitts, like I said, I mean, the Atlanta Falcons passing offense was horrendous this past year. So, I mean, if you're sitting here, if you're trying to crap on Kyle Pitts for the production this past season, I think it's a little unfair to him. And remember, Kyle Pitts is literally younger than Zay Flowers, right? Like, Kyle Pitts was the best tight end prospect of all time, put up the best rookie tight end season of all time outside of Mike Ditka. And then he has a down year because he's in the second worst passing offense in the entire NFL in 2022. And at the same time deals with an injury. He's younger than Zay Flowers. He's younger than a lot of rookies in this draft class. Like that, y'all know in dynasty formats, I was not in on drafting Kyle Pitts as a rookie. The same thing, I'm not in on drafting Dalton Kincaid as a rookie. These guys don't produce early on. You have to give them some time. And I think this is a very good year to be buying into Kyle Pitts at a discounted price, at least in my mind. But Kevin coming out here saying, drop a like. Yes, if you have not done so, hit that like button. We hit 350. We are going to fire up another draft after this one. Okay, so Alexander Madison goes 72. Oh my gosh, you're seeing Madison go earlier and earlier. Long ago, the days where we were able to go through and draft Alexander Madison round 9, round 10. Gabe Davis off the board. So far at quarterback, we have Justin Fields. Running back, we have Breece Hall. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts. Wide receiver, we have Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, and Christian Kirk. Interesting. Holy Madison. I saw him at pick 62 this morning. Interesting. Okay. Pacheco. We'll go ahead. We'll take a wide receiver. We'll take Treylon Burks going into year 2. I've been drafting a decent amount of Treylon Burks here in round 7. I mean, very similar to the Kyle Pitts issue. It's not necessarily... do you believe that Treylon Burks is talented here? It's more so, do you believe the Tennessee Titans can be a decent passing offense this next season? Like, Tennessee looks like it could be in contention for a bottom 5 offense this upcoming season, which obviously would severely cap Treylon Burks' overall ceiling. But, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Coco Brown says, Cook fell to 90 in my draft the other day. That's just crazy. I mean, if I had Dalvin Cook falling to 90, I'd be all over Dalvin Cook. And y'all know I've drafted way more Alexander Madison than Dalvin Cook so far. Wait, Alexander Madison just went ahead of Dalvin Cook in this draft. I didn't even notice that. You know what is the... Come on. Y'all got to give me some props on this. Was it like a month ago whenever you had Dalvin Cook going at the end of round 5 and Alexander Madison going round 9, and I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if Alexander Mattison at some point was going ahead of Dalvin Cook. We called that, ladies and gentlemen. We called that. Joshua says, why is Cook falling so much? Am I missing something? Yeah, so there's a lot of smoke around Dalvin Cook either being cut or being traded out of Minnesota. Like, you obviously have a bunch of beat reporters saying it, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's source is saying that Dalvin Cook is going to be on the way out for the Vikings. And on top of it, the Vikings Twitter went through and like changed the header of their Twitter from a photo that included Dalvin Cook to a photo that had Alexander Mattison, which is very interesting to think about because someone had to tell them to do that, right? Yeah, Adam says Twitter banner hype going crazy. But if you think about it, kind of makes sense that people would sit here and make a big deal out of it, because if you were to go through and have that occur, right, where Dalvin Cook's taken off, Alexander Madison's put on, somewhere something has to happen where they have to call up and go, hey guys, yeah, we're going to need you to take down the photo with Dalvin and put up the photo with Alexander. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Quentin Johnson going off the board, 89. I would have taken Quentin Johnson if he fell to us. I think that's a good, strong pick. Rashad Bateman goes 90. Interesting Bateman selection. Is that a team that had Lamar? Richardson goes, we'll take Brandon Cooks. We could be looking at Dak Prescott on the way back around as well. I mean, this is similar to a draft that we did this morning, that we had Brandon Cooks falling to the end of the 8th round, and then we ended up grabbing Brandon Cooks. I think we actually maybe got Dak. No, we got Dak in the 9th. I don't think we got Dak in the 10th. I definitely know we got Dak Prescott at a value. Okay, Evan Ingram off the board. Evan Ingram would have been an interesting selection. I feel like what you have with Ingram, honestly, is his ADP pushed up a bit just because usually the Lawrence team is going after Evan Ingram to complete that stack, especially if they did not get Ridley or Christian Kirk early on. G Guy coming out says, what's it going to take to get a flock redraft league going with you in it this year? I'm sorry, my man. I think the probability that I join like another regular redraft league is slim. I would love to, but my issue with it is, I mean, I'm sure you know, Sunday mornings, I mean, y'all know I live stream every single day during the season. And it's like 4-hour live streams a day. Sunday mornings, I go live at 7 a.m. Central. So if you're looking at West Coast time, I'm going live at 5 a.m. and stream until kickoff. So when I'm doing that, and you have so many like injury question marks, don't know who's going to be good to go, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very difficult to stay on top of setting my 20 dynasty leagues lineup. And then on top of that, bouncing around and adding extra teams to manage with that. That's why best ball is perfect for me, because I already have more than enough leagues that I actually have to submit the starting lineup for. What the hell am I supposed to do? Do we go Zach Charbonnet? If I were to take a wide receiver here, I'd take Elijah Moore. But whenever I'm taking Elijah Moore, I prefer grabbing him on a team that I have Deshaun Watson with. Y'all know I will just never grab Cortland Sutton. Like, that's not in my DNA. I can't do it. So I don't love this selection. Y'all know, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but Kenneth Walker, my second most drafted running back last year, really, I honestly think Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, they're very different running backs, but in terms of how excited I am as prospects, they're kind of in a similar range. But the reason I was super excited about drafting Kenneth Walker round 9 last year is the running back in front of him was like the most injury-prone running back in the NFL with Rashad Penny, who didn't really have a lot invested into him. Whereas if you're looking at Zach Charbonnet's situation, Kenneth Walker on a rookie deal is parked in front of him. So I definitely am not nearly as excited about round 9 Zach Charbonnet this season as we were about round 9 Kenneth Walker last offseason. I feel like we maybe just get caught in a little bit of no man's land. Like I said, I like Njoku. I like Elijah Moore in this round. But whenever I'm taking Njoku and Elijah Moore, because I already have them in a lot of leagues, I would rather wait for that to be the league wherever we have Deshaun Watson, right? Whenever I'm drafting Deshaun Watson, which I do very often, that's the league I want to go through and take Elijah Moore in. The Def Gaming coming out says, yo, Mason, when can you rate the next set of rosters in the Discord? I probably can either today or tomorrow, my friend. It'll be very, very soon. Like, we're not far behind at all on roster submissions in the Discord. And if y'all don't know what we're talking about, on flockfantasy.com, when you join, sign up with promo code FLOCK, Mother Flocker tier, and yours truly will go through and make a podcast breaking down your fantasy football team. Whether that's an underdog draft you want me to look at, whether that is a redraft team, whether that's a dynasty team, whatever you want. Jacoby Myers off the board here at 111. Okay, let's swing this around. All right. I did take Devon Achane in my Dalmatian draft. I also got in a $500 or is it a $500 or is it a $250? I think it's a $500 Bulldog draft. Did I take Devon? No, I don't think we're nearly that far into it. Let me pull up what I've done so far in that $500 draft. I don't love it. Quarterback, I have Herbert. Running back, I have Jacobs. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Olave, Mike Williams. Okay, so Tyler Boyd goes 112. Rodgers, not really someone we're grabbing. Geno Smith, I guess maybe we have Zach Charbonnet. Could be interesting in terms of having a team that nobody else is really building, right? And if we grab Geno Smith paired up with Zach Charbonnet and you get a spike week from Geno, maybe like 2 passing touchdowns to Charbonnet, and everybody else has them paired up with JSN, Metcalf, Lockett, etc. Okay. What are we doing? What are we doing? God, this is a crap draft. I like the team. The issue is it's just very difficult to navigate the board. Like, I feel like I'm not being left with much value. We're going to take Lazard. When in doubt, grab a wide receiver. And on top of this, there's a pretty big tier at running back where I'll be fine with almost any of these guys making it back to us. And if we grab Lazard, we could also put ourselves in the position to grab Aaron Rodgers on the way back around and have the double stack with Rodgers, Breece Hall, as well as Allen Lazard. So based on my experience in these drafts, I think it's a long shot that we get both Rodgers and Lazard. But if we were going to have a shot, we'd be more likely to get that pairing if we take Lazard first. And we don't get him, Aaron Rodgers goes. But also when we take Allen Lazard here, I don't think it's devastating not getting Aaron Rodgers. You know, I do think we have a lot of flexibility. Okay. The Def Gaming says, after Underdog fixes my account, I am trying best ball, but can you explain the best strategy for it? I know hard because of the RNG and where you pick. So a big thing is with best ball in my mind is staying flexible. I mean, I should just go ahead and make a more in-depth video. We've done it in the past, but people will get really in their head saying, okay, I need to draft a running back in round X. I need to draft a wide receiver in round Y, blah, blah, blah. And in reality, just going into drafts, taking the value where you like it. And in large field tournaments, one thing that I'd really strongly advise against is reaching a considerable amount by ADP, just given the way that it will work in terms of, say, for example, I love Jalen Hyatt here. Say Hyatt is my favorite player on the board, right? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Jalen Hyatt regardless of what the rest of my team is. Here I kind of go Antonio Gibson in a lot of spots. Since we have Fields, maybe we can make an argument this gives us some correlation. We'll go Herbert. But nonetheless, say Hyatt's my favorite guy, right? I'm like, oh, Jalen Hyatt's going to crush everybody else in the field. Let me go ahead and let me get him here. If that's your thought process and you're just drafting in like a regular 12-team league, it's kind of fine, right? Like if you're right and Jalen Hyatt smashes, who cares if you reached on him by ADP? But the issue is when you're in these large field tournaments, right? And every other team is going to draft Jalen Hyatt. Or every other league, there will be a team that drafts Jalen Hyatt. If you were to go through and reach 3 rounds on Hyatt and say I were to take Jalen Hyatt in round 11, and there is another team in another league that doesn't reach on Jalen Hyatt, and instead they get Jalen Hyatt in round 14, they get Jalen Hyatt in round 15, even if Hyatt turns into a quote-unquote league winner, there will be another team in the tournament that's out kicking me somewhere else, if that makes sense. So personally, I always try to stray away from reaching significantly on any individual player. Understand that roster construction is incredibly important, where we want to make sure that we have 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 6 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and then the rest of your spots are wide receivers. And you're going to slide that scale based on where you take those guys in this draft. So for example, right, if I were to go ahead and look at where I grab running backs. So I grab my first running back with Breece Hall round 3. My next running back round 9, my third guy round 11. So with this approach, there's no way in hell I'm only drafting 4 backs, right? I mean, we haven't spent much into the position whatsoever. I mean, we've put ourselves in a spot where we can easily go through and we can easily continue to take running backs, right? I mean, we can take probably 5 to 6 running backs with this build because we didn't invest a ton into the position at the very top. Whereas on the other hand, if you were looking at Big Trust Nation here, who at the gate goes Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and then goes Cam Akers round 7, they really can't take 6 running backs, because they're going to be underweight at wide receiver, where they're going to have to go through and they're going to have to make sure that they're using another roster spot on the wide receiver position. So in my mind, the big thing that I'm trying to do in these underdog drafts, stay flexible, take value where it falls, stay inside a particular roster construction that you like. And yeah, and obviously build for correlation. If you could get multiple pieces of the same offense, that's going to be something that we're looking to do, especially in terms of trying to add on multiple pass catchers in the same offense, a pass catcher for your quarterback, etc. But I hope that helps, my friend. Hope that helps. Now we have Rashee Rice, Adam Thielen going off the board here, 133, 134. And I definitely would have taken Rashee Rice or Adam Thielen if they would have made it to us. But I've been trying to get a little more Rice than I have lately. Okay, Roshan goes pick 135. Roshan, okay, so obviously here what we're looking at is getting Cole Kmet pair up with Justin Fields. And the Def Gaming asking essentially for us to explain stacking. So a big thing when you're looking to stack multiple pieces in the same offense, right? So if I draft Justin Fields at pick 44, and this team's going to be good, this team's going to contend to win this league or win the entire tournament, what has to happen? If we took Justin Fields at pick 44, if we want to get first place, Justin Fields better score a crap ton of fantasy points. And I'm trying to get first place. I'm not trying to get second. I'm not trying to get third. I'm not trying to get fourth. I'm trying to get first. So if Justin Fields is going to score a crap ton of fantasy points, what else does that mean? That means most likely, more times than not, Cole Kmet will probably outperform based on his ADP, right? Darnell Mooney may outperform based on his ADP, etc. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to get Cole Kmet here to pair up with Justin Fields as our second tight end. When we have the combination of Kyle Pitts as well as Cole Kmet, I'm fine drafting 2 or 3 tight ends. I feel like we've gone hard enough with Kyle Pitts there in round 6, where if we really wanted to stop after 2 tight ends, we can. But at the same time, if there's a value that we love falling to us, I will be willing to pull the trigger on a third one. But Mike says, hit the like button. Yes, if you have not done so already, please go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. If we had 350 likes on the stream, we will fire up another draft after this. And there are more live people watching right now than 350. So if you all go down and drop a like, if you really want to see another draft, we'll get one going. Jeep Guy says Fields might not be the best example. LOL. Yeah, I was just using it because obviously we had him right there. Jared Goff falling about 20 picks past ADP. I probably would have taken Goff if he would have made it to us at 149, regardless of if we would have had a Goff stack or not. Higbee going off the board 145. Kyler's someone that I've been taking a lot in like the puppy where there's no regular season prizes. Specifically Best Ball Mania, maybe it's a little more difficult to take Kyler. We don't have any Cardinals. I mean, I've been taking a decent amount of Kyler Murray, to be honest. Just because I'm trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17 where I can. Okay. I think we're probably going to take Jalen Warren here. I think you could make a strong argument to go with Derek Carr to pair up with Chris Olave. The thing is, I'm fine waiting a few more rounds on quarterbacks and then drafting 3 QBs with this team, if that makes sense. Like if we wait a few more rounds, I think we can draft 3. If we were to say draft Derek Carr there, I feel like maybe we'd have to sit here and be stuck at 2. I don't know. You can make a strong argument Carr's the right play. Okay. Caesar says, feel like Goff was the pick there, almost 20 picks past ADP. Yeah, going back to it, like y'all know I've been saying that like Fields, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson, those are going to be quarterbacks that can give you spike weeks without one of their pass catchers having an incredible performance, right? Because Justin Fields can go out there and Justin Fields can drop 35 points without any other option in his offense really doing anything that week. You could see Justin Fields with 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. But at the same time, with a player like Jared Goff, you're never going to get that massive spike week without other players in his offense also popping off. With Goff, if he's dropping 30 points, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be a league winner. Jamison Williams is going to win you that week. So if I don't have Jahmyr Gibbs, if I don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, if I don't have Jamison Williams, there's no way in hell I'm drafting the tight end in Laporta in Detroit this season. It's more difficult to just quote unquote take the value with Jared Goff, if that makes sense. I'll definitely do it at other spots with other quarterbacks. Or like Kyler Murray, for example, as well. I think you make an argument to take Kyler Murray unstacked for a couple different reasons. One being the rushing upside. Goff's a little more difficult. Tesla says, think CJ Stroud has any rushing upside? Not really. I mean, if you look at what he did in college, probably not. Michael says, Mason, you should set your lineups on stream during the season. That'd be sick to see you make live lineup decisions. It does sound like a really good idea. In reality, it's much more boring. Like as I go through and make those decisions, and whenever we're doing those live streams before kickoff, you know, we have like a million questions to get through. So I'm sitting here like talking like an auctioneer going blah, 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 blah. So, okay. Big Mike says there are 8th to 10th round quarterbacks who will score just as many fantasy points as 4th round Justin Fields. I kind of hope you're correct, my friend. Not for this team, but for a lot of other teams I'm drafting. Okay. What would be beautiful is if there was a round 14, 15 quarterback and a Mr. Trey Lance that will score more fantasy points than Justin Fields this year. I mean, that would make my year. Okay, so Matthew Stafford is someone that we can take here if we want to pair up. I actually had a draft where Matthew Stafford, I think, went undrafted earlier today. He either went undrafted or was selected in round 18, but I don't know. I mean, he fell far down these boards. Okay, Wan'Dale Robinson, 161. Love the Wan'Dale pick. Okay. Singletary is a running back that I like here a lot. I don't know if we should be saying it, but the thing is, if we were to take Singletary, we're still taking 6 running backs with this team. Okay. Shaheed gives us some correlation with Olave. Bigsby versus Singletary. They're probably about the same, right? Reed Downs. Oh, we'll go Singletary. Like, I can make an argument that I'd rather have Jaden Reed over Shaheed. That I'd rather have Downs over Shaheed. So we'll take Singletary here. Don't know if it's the right call, but it's the call we're making. So running back, we have Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts and Cole Kmet. Quarterback, we have Justin Fields. And wide receiver, we have Diggs, Olave, Christian Kirk, Treylon Burks, Brandon Cooks, Alan Lazard. Okay, so this will be probably an 18th round Will Levis draft. Leslie says, drop a like. Yes, if you have not done so, hit that like button. What are we doing? Okay. Jaden Reed goes 169. Isaiah Hodgins 170. All right. Come on. Come on. Stafford goes. Okay, so we are getting Josh Downs here. Okay, that's what we were looking at, right? I mean, that's why we decided to take Singletary in that last round, just because we were looking at Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, Van Jefferson, all being about the same as Shaheed for me. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the Josh Downs selection. 173, I feel like for a rookie with this profile, this is a strong point to be taking him. But Mike coming out with the donation, thank you, my man, says, you truly believe Lance is going to be the 49ers starting quarterback all year, even though they said Brock Purdy and he may play week 1. So, I mean, we've talked about this time and time again. But, I mean, if I'm looking at Trey Lance, I'm not sitting here saying that Lance is like guaranteed to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. What I'm saying is if we look historically, quarterbacks since the year 2000 that were drafted inside the top 3 picks in the NFL draft always start season after season after season until they are given way too many opportunities and fail way too many times. They get the Mitchell Trubisky treatment. They get the Blake Bortles treatment. They're allowed to fail over and over and over again. The only quarterbacks that have been drafted inside the top 3 since the year 2000 that started fewer than 40 games of their NFL career were Jamarcus Russell, who started 25, who's well known as arguably the biggest bust in sports history, and RG3, who was derailed by injuries and started over 30 games. So I think Lance will be a starting quarterback this next year for an NFL team. I think most likely it is the 49ers. If not, they could easily trade him and ship him somewhere else. But at the end of the day, with the rushing upside that he has, he will score fantasy points as long as he's starting. So if your take is that Trey Lance will be benched throughout the entire season, you are making an argument that Trey Lance will be the biggest bust in NFL history, arguably a bigger bust than Jamarcus Russell. Personally, I'm not willing to make that bet based off of simply the fact he got injured this past year. So, yeah, I'm personally going through and drafting Lance, and you'll see I have a quarterback rankings coming out later today on the channel, and we have Trey Lance higher than consensus, of course. But let's move this down. Taysom ADP 175 still available. We're closing in on 188. Michael Mayer goes. Kenneth Gainwell off the board. Okay, let's sit here and think. We're take 16, 17, 18. So we get 3 more picks. We'll go Chuba. We'll go Chuba and then 2 more quarterbacks. I don't love this team, to be honest with you. I don't. The teams we had earlier were much, much better. But Tommy Knows coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, I've been targeting backfields in recent best ball drafts. Najee Warren, Gibbs Montgomery, Connor Ingram. I did another one with just the 49ers Eagles backfield and had a pretty decent draft around that. What do you think about this strategy? So 2 years, y'all know I won the big dog last year. 2 years ago, I almost won the big dog as well. The reason we didn't is because Kelce missed a game due to COVID precautions, and we didn't advance to the last round by like 3 points because we got a 0 at tight end because Kelce didn't play. If we would have advanced, we'd have advanced the team that had Jamar Chase that would have dropped 50 points that week, and we would have won $100,000 2 years ago as well. But it is what it is. It's not like I'm hurt about it. You know how cool it would have been, though, if we were back-to-back big dog winners? That would have been really cool. But anyway, long story short, that team had that approach. That team, I went through and I took Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, as well as Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, and monopolized both the Bills and the Bucks backfield, which I think is fine if you get those guys at a value. Personally, and we went through and looked at the historical data on this as well in a live stream where I invited members of the flock, members of flockfantasy.com, to hang out with us on a live stream on the Dynasty channel. And we're doing that again later today. But we talked about this in depth, and what it looks like is it's not great in its own, except if you're going to get those players behind ADP and maybe if you are in a smaller tournament. If you're in the puppy, if you're in Best Ball Mania, If you're in like literally Best Ball Mania, it's a $25 buy-in, $3 million first place, $15 million prize pool. It's too big to go through and build your team in that way in my mind. Like, it's very difficult to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to only draft 2 backfields, because then you do severely cap your overall ceiling. If you were going to do it in like the big dog, which is still a pretty large tournament, of course, $250 buy-in, $100,000 first place. But I mean, if you do the math behind that, it is a significantly smaller field than what you have with like Best Ball Mania, right? I think it will be fine in the smaller tournaments if you are getting those players at value. If you are reaching to try to complete backfield pairings, I think no matter what tournament you're playing in, it's probably not ideal. But specifically, if we were going to do it, I would prefer it in in a smaller tournament rather than one of these large field ones. I hope that makes sense though, my friend. But thank you again so much for always hanging out with us and being a member of the flock. And yeah, I hope to be able to talk to you later tonight. Yeah, that's one other thing that I need to get out there. If y'all don't know, I'm sure the majority of y'all do. I mean, we have a Dynasty channel, Dynasty Football Flock, and every Sunday from now on flockfantasy.com, I mean, for members of flockfantasy.com in our Discord, we're going to go through and send a link for anybody to come on and hang out with me on the live stream. Essentially, like last weekend, it was just about, I think 7, 8 guys maybe came on, and it's just everybody hops in a room and we just talk fantasy football. Talk about whatever y'all want, and we stream it at the same time. So we're going to do that later today at 8 p.m. Eastern. If y'all want to get in on that, it'll be in the Flock Fantasy Discord. Okay, so now Joshua Palmer off the board, 205. Chase Claypool goes. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Will Levis on the way back around. We take Desmond Ridder to pair up with Kyle Pitts. We're going to take Will Levis as a quarterback that 90% of the time will not be drafted and has a much, much lower floor than what you get from Mac Jones, Sam Howell. Like, with those guys, you know they're probably going to be starting this next year. You know they'll probably score you some points. But if you're looking at Will Levis, I think he possibly has a higher week-to-week ceiling. And on top of this, the main reason I like taking Levis here is specifically because he is not being drafted in really any of these leagues, right? So say if Sam Howell goes out there and somehow he's the league-winning quarterback this next year. In every league, Sam Howell's probably going to be drafted, or pretty close to every league. So you're going to be going up against a lot of other teams that also have Sam Howell that wins leagues. But if Will Levis has that league-winning season, which is unlikely but possible, like it's in the range of outcomes, then at that point, we're one of the only teams that has Levis. We have Levis also stacked with Treylon Burks. So, I mean, that's why I'm going to go ahead and go down this route, kind of like making sure that we are getting a few players not being drafted in every draft. But real quick, Leslie says 50 more likes, smash that like button. Yes, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. I mean, we have 400 people watching this. If 350 of y'all go down there and hit that like button, we've had a couple thousand tune into the live stream, then we will go ahead and fire up another draft after this one. If not, if y'all want to wait until our draft tomorrow, no harm, no foul. And of course, we'll be live streaming every single day. So if you want to get in a draft with us, if you want to hang out with us on one of these live streams, make sure to go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up, and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Available in damn near every state, and also when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. You're going to get free access, a free trial to flockfantasy.com as well. So make sure you are taking advantage of that, and available in damn near every state. Okay. Let me see where we're at. We're probably going to just fire up another live stream later today. Yeah, so it looks like we are not getting there, but let me get y'all a link to the live stream that we are going to have later today. It's going to be at about 8 p.m. Eastern, and this one will be where we are inviting members of the flock on the stream with us. Okay. Okay, I'm spamming that in the chat. So just in case you haven't seen one of these live streams where I just hang out with members of the flock, essentially, you can, of course, just watch. If you want, you can ask questions in the live chat. But if you're a member of flockfantasy.com and you want to get in on the live stream with me, you're just going to go to the Discord, and then there's a section that says live interviews there. And then I'll go through and I'll send the StreamYard link when we go live to the actual YouTube channel. You'll just need to make sure that you have your camera on, because I don't want anybody coming in with their camera off and then doing something obscene. If you have your camera on, it's your face showing. I mean, hell, if you want to stand by whatever you do, you say, that's on you. But I think that's all I have for y'all. Again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, hanging out with us. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great Sunday, and really hope that we get to see you with the live stream later tonight.